This podcast is rated R for restricted. Under 17 requires accompanying parent or adult guardian. Mission to 15.
Welcome to the Friday podcast, guys. We're doing movies again. Once again, more movies. We're on the list this time. We're doing the 1999 movie The Matrix, directed by the Wachowskis. To kick it off, we're going to... What we've typically been doing is 20 seconds, if we want to pull that up on the clock here, to do a pre-spoiler review, which for this movie probably doesn't apply too much, since it's, culturally ingrained into everyone's mind at this point.
Even TC probably saw this before.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right, so what do we got? This 20-second thing? I can't see anything.
Yeah, let's do 20 seconds. I can't see it either, so it's going to be on my phone. So I don't know where it
everybody
went.
going blind?
okay.
Oh, no, just okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
we're doing it on the phone
I
now.
don't know.
All right, John, we want to go?
If you want me to give,
Sure.
yeah, let's just do it on the phone.
I can go first.
Yes. All right, John, why don't you go?
Ready?
Go.
Fantastic dark science fiction action film with amazing camera work and an incredible ensemble cast that also is very thought-provoking in a number of different ways.
Bam!
Nice.
With 7 seconds to spare.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it holds up. It fucking holds
Your
up.
time's
really
over,
well.
John. Shut your mouth.
I'm sorry. Can't help but say that.
All right, ready, Denny?
I'm ready.
And go.
This movie does so much that it's kind of mind-blowing. It's probably one of like the biggest movies of our lifetime, I think. The way, it came out when we were alive, and it holds up, and it does so much, and specifically the thought-provoking stuff is in there, and it's just mind-blowing. I have nothing but good things. Well, I got some bad things to say too. Is that 20 seconds?
That's exactly 20 seconds.
Okay.
I like this one. I had a good time with it, and you're right. It holds up. It holds up well, and it just seems to kick ass the whole time. I mean, I loved it.
Yes.
Yes. Nice. All right.
Yeah. Can you think of a movie that does more in a movie to like...
Like nonstop, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
There's just so much that happens at all times.
Mhm.
I know.
And
It's
the action
just
is like
sick.
incredible, but it's all a part of like this weird world that they build. So it's not
and
just
they
like
build
action
it
for
so
action's sake.
slowly, and I love it. Like you don't
And it's like a
quite know
mystery
what's
for the
going
first
on,
half.
right?
Yeah.
You really don't know what's going on until it starts to like. The more he learns, the more we learn, right? And it's like it just
Right. It
feels
keeps,
like
like,
you're
it
in
keeps-
pace
yeah.
with him.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
And it's
I
funny too
loved
because
it.
TC, you hate exposition, even when it's like a plot device because the lead character doesn't like it.
Yeah.
But that's
It
what
didn't
this
bother
movie
me.
is.
It didn't bother me
It
as
is,
much.
but fucking like again, it's part of the cast pulls it off so well. Lawrence Fishburne is so fucking cool.
He's so
he
good
sits-
in this
He
movie.
sits there and he's like, "Well, what if this?" And you're like, "All right, Lawrence, I don't know, but this is awesome because you're there in your trench coat and your
little glasses.
And the
Yeah.
Mr. Anderson guy. I mean,
Dude,
come on.
those
I
two
mean,
guys.
Talk
Hugo
about
Weaving.
Those two
Hugo
guys
Weaving.
are outstanding.
dude.
Jesus.
Yeah. Hugo Weaving is ridiculously good.
I know.
as Agent Smith.
It's
And
one of the best characters in a movie because
and
of
he-
what he does with it.
And I think
Yeah.
it's just awesome that like his character is supposed to be a robot, and he's so good at being a robot.
Yeah.
Like he
The angry
gives
robot.
the
Oh,
lines
dude,
the same
his-
the entire movie
Right,
without any
right.
problem. It's like he never diverts from that robotic sound. It's awesome.
That scene's where it's so fantastic. That scene where he pulls his earpiece out. He's like, "I'm gonna get real with you,"
Yeah.
and he's like, "You guys are fire.
smell.
You're fucking.
I can
fire.
taste your
It's
sweat.
so good. It's so good.
It's so
just,
good.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I hope it'd be interesting to see how he was picked and cast, and whether he was directed to do this. But that character is, I think he stands out. Even, I mean, everybody else is, again, Morpheus is awesome. Carrie Ann Moss is fucking brilliant
great.
as like
Yeah.
like
The thing
older
is,
and
like
sexy.
those.
and-
So Lawrence Fishburne and Hugo Weaving are the best, in my opinion. Gary
But
and
they're the good
Moss is like
contrast.
a
They're
close
like-
third.
they're
But
like
she's a
the
good, she's a
Yoda
good
versus
like
Darth Vader.
what do you call her? Supporting character
Right,
for the.
but I think
all
part of the
She's good
reason
as a
that
love
the other one
interest, yeah.
seems so good is because a lot of the other acting is kind of really bad, and it doesn't really. That's like one of my only. It's not a complaint, but it's just like a statement where like some of the acting is really bad, but it doesn't matter, which
No.
is surprising. It doesn't like crash and burn the movie, but like the mouse character, the twin brothers, the two throwaway characters that get unplugged. I don't even know what their names
Yeah.
are. they're the one who's just like, not like
That's
this.
true.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
like
not
this.
like this.
You're
Not
like,
like
oh,
this.
not
Yeah.
this.
Like
I
some of
know.
that stuff is bad. The two
Not
other
like what?
agents
Oh,
are
yes,
not
no.
great.
The two other agents are
Yeah.
bad. They're bad.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
like
bad.
there's a lot
But
of
it-
questionable
yeah.
acting,
But,
but like
you know, I think it gets away with it because we're in a world that is simulated. So it's like, of course,
Well,
the
fair,
acting's going to be
right.
bad because it's a simulation. So
Well,
it actually
what
is
about
for the
Keanu? Though?
agents.
Keanu's acting is kind of questionable.
I mean, he's
Mostly-
always been kind of bad,
Yeah.
though, right?
I know.
I mean,
Kung
He
Fu.
does. Well,
he's just
coming
good,
after
fun to
Point
watch,
Break.
but he's not
Yeah,
great.
he's great
at
to
acting.
watch.
Right.
He might not be great at acting, but
He's great at the action stuff.
most
Dude,
of the
that
time,
leg
he's
sweep at the
pulling off
end when
action
he
so
comes
well.
up
I
straight.
laughed.
Come on,
I laughed at
it's
that.
outrageous, isn't it?
Yeah.
But damn, does he
And
hold
that's
it
why
well?
it's
Doesn't
like,
he?
yeah. He does, and that's why he's so good at John Wick too. Like he's
That's true.
really fantastic in
Same
those
kind of
action
character.
sequences, and when he's not talking, his expressions are great.
Just shut your mouth, Keanu. That's all you got to do.
It's funny.
So he embodies the character really well. It's just sometimes the line delivery doesn't work so well. But still, generally, I mean, again, compared to Point Break, this is just off the charts as far as so much better.
Yeah.
But there's so much that's good about this. It's kind of ridiculous. Just the style of it is so the way that they can set up this idea of in the Matrix they can be however they want, so they can look cool as fuck. So
And they all kind of
real
choose.
life,
It's funny how they all choose the same style. It's like leather coats,
they
slick
got
back
that-
hair.
yeah.
They all have the same idea of what's cool.
sort of gothy like BDSM sort
Yeah.
of thing. Kinda.
Well, don't you guys remember
but
that
yeah.
back then too? That's when like that world opened up because of the internet, like this avatars and like having a different kind of like life
this idea of a
online.
persona?
Like this
Right.
idea of persona was like actually
That's
a part
true.
of the culture back then because of the internet
That is
just
true.
getting started.
It was kind
So,
of on the verge of that.
I mean,
right?
it makes sense
This
in the
was like-
writing
yeah.
because they were writing for the time, which a lot of people were diving into that in that world of like, you know, tech, I guess, and computers.
Yeah, but it's just I love that they get to have this contrast and this excuse to be as cool as fuck, sort of. And I think that's it's like, oh, not only are they cool, but this is a movie that it makes sense within the plot and within the whole story. It makes total sense that they get to be cool as fuck, and that's also quite unique for a film. Like, oh yeah, you might watch an action film and people are being cool or whatever, but to have that be just also very plot driven, like sort of inherent to the story, just makes it even neater. That it's like, yeah, this actually like fits. It's like clockwork fits. That they should like have these trench coat and these like, you know, like sunglasses without edges or whatever, and perfect haircuts or whatever, and also a style that they can adopt. Like you know, Morpheus in particular, he can adopt this style of like this cool sort of like, you know, Zen master.
You think that's air you're breathing?
Right. Oh, that was another great, yeah, right? Another great fucking scene, right?
Yeah.
And again, in Keanu, to his credit, that's a scene where he doesn't talk. And he does that awesome.
I love it when he's not saying anything.
Right? But
I mean, he
plays
looks
that scene
confused. I mean, that's typically what
I mean,
he
I
does.
feel like that's all he
Right,
does. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and it fits
It's
for this
his
movie
best
because
look.
holy shit, this would be a
he
confusing
does two things.
situation.
He does confused and badass. But like he can do those two really, really well. Like when he starts doing badass towards the end, it's also really good. It's like really like, yeah, go get him, Keanu.
I found myself laughing kind of in a good way at this movie during a lot of the action scenes, like when he gets up when he's fighting Agent Smith in the subway tunnel and he does that pose, like, and he jerks his arm and like there's dust that comes out. I laughed pretty hard at that just because I don't know, something funny about that. But I think it's supposed to
funny,
be,
but it's still cool funny. I don't know.
Yeah.
It still looks. I don't know.
I'm not laughing at it.
Funny.
I'm like, yeah.
Like, yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, what'd you guys think about the fact that it took the entire movie for him to actually have his arc? Because like as soon as he becomes himself and like, I'm the best, I am the one, basically the movie's over.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, that's like
I mean,
kind of
it was really
right
afterwards.
yeah, it's
It
like
was
pretty
like-
much over
yeah.
right then. Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
kind of strange. Like usually
would've been
I'm
sort of
used to the
nice if
resolve or like some sort of, but I guess
Right.
maybe that keeps us on the hook for the next one back then,
the
you know?
sequels.
But,
Yeah.
It's like a sequel mentality.
So that part is it's the one thing that really annoys me about the film every time I've seen it lately, like the last 2 or 3
Is John
times.
not a Rage Against the Machine fan?
Oh no!
Oh,
I
that
love that.
part's
That's
great.
perfect.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine a better fucking soundtrack.
No, that was
right,
in there as
No,
the
no,
idea
that
for the
was-
ending the entire time.
Right.
That had
no.
in there.
That was How could you not have? No, it's perfect.
Yeah.
No. The thing that bothers me is when he gets his power and is ready to overcome Agent Smith, I want to enjoy it, but it's juxtaposed with the Sentinels invading the submarine, and you're sitting there worried about the crewmate's life. You don't get to sit there and enjoy the Neo getting powerful. It's like, fuck, dude, your guys are about to get killed by the Sentinels. You got to go take care of that. We don't have time to sit here and you do posy shit. So I really wish it still bothers me. It's like I still feel, and again, I guess credit to the film that I feel tense about that, because the Sentinels are like creepy as fuck coming.
They
into the
were.
submarine.
I don't
It's not
like
like
the
he's
one when it
wasting
goes in
time
his
though.
Oh, when it goes in his
he's not.
stomach.
He's totally fucking.
He just
he's wasting
learned.
time.
He just learned how to use his powers. He doesn't.
I know, but he did just learn. But he's taking his sweet time about it because
John,
it's
you're complaining
cool.
he's wasting time. He just came back to life and he's killing an agent. That's all new shit.
I know, but there's a lot.
This is the way he does it. This is pretty good.
I know, but it's pretty slow. What I would like.
You just want him to wake up and go
tension.
dead.
No,
and then
I
pick up
don't
the
want
phone.
that. Actually, what I wish is somehow the tension was resolved on the submarine, so we could just sit back and enjoy
him being Neo.
enjoy him getting powerful, and like so that I don't have to have the tension of his crewmates.
I like the tension. I like the way they put it together.
It's again, it is well done, but I'm annoyed by it. I want to sit there and just enjoy
you want it to be
powerful.
a happy feeling moment, and it's more tense.
I want
than
to just
anything.
sit there and go like, yeah, not like, well, but the other guys.
But I think what they were trying to do there is they were trying to show that, like, since he's the one, these guys are going down in service of that,
Yeah.
right? So they're
Right,
trying to
I
show
understand.
that, like,
But
yeah,
also at the
okay,
same
these guys
time,
are.
keep him plugged in. He's the one. He can't die, right? So like, just keep him plugged in, and the thing is not going to kill
if he
anybody.
was unplugged, he would die, right? I guess if they unplugged him in the Nautilus.
And what I don't
But
get
the
is,
whole-
doesn't
isn't
that
the whole
happen
thing
in the
like-
later movies where they unplug people and everything's good?
I don't know. In the later
I don't
movies,
know.
Trinity
Like-
dies and comes back to life once, but then she's killed and doesn't come back the second time. Like, there's just weird shit that
but
happens.
she's back in the fourth film.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
she's
guess
back
I'm
in
going
the-
too far down.
Well, the
you
fourth
know?
one, I didn't finish it because I shut it off. But isn't she a part of the Matrix?
I don't remember.
Because he's
is
living
the
in the
Matrix.
Matrix in the fourth one. He forgot about the Matrix.
All of the films
or something.
afterwards are really forgettable, unfortunately. I saw them.
I saw them in the
it was
theater.
There was so much anticipation about that second one.
Oh, it made
And it
so
was
much money.
still-
It made even more money than
Oh,
this
it did,
one,
yeah.
the second
Oh,
one.
yeah, that makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because they filmed. So this movie was so successful that they filmed the second and third ones at the same time, and they released them the same year. One came out in like
And they
March.
also
One came out in
probably
October.
wrote them like pretty quickly right
was-
after that.
they
It
did.
was like, oh shit, we're gonna make some more, and it really feels that way.
Yeah. Yeah, the other ones weren't great. There's a lot more I mean, this for some reason it was kind of funny. One of the commentary tracks had the guy who did the special effects, and you could literally hear him cringe, like he was making cringe noises the whole movie,
Oh,
and
he's
he
like,
made
wow.
fun of himself. He's just like, these special effects are terrible. I have no
wow.
idea.
on the original.
He's
The
like
original, yeah, yeah.
embarrassed.
He's
Oh,
embarrassed,
really?
and you can hear him like he has a microphone in his face. There's periods of silence where they're watching it, and you hear him go, "Ugh," just like at special effects.
Jesus, yeah.
You're like, dude. And at the end of the movie, it was two other people on that track. At the end, he says, "Don't get into the movie business. Making movies sucks." And then that's the end of the commentary track.
I mean, it does.
Yeah,
It absolutely.
Oh
the guy
my
was
God.
like one of the most negative people I've ever heard on a
He's
commentary
like, I fucking
track.
hate this. They made me do this, and I don't even
Yeah.
want to be here.
Well,
Yeah.
that's really sad because I felt like the special effects hold up well enough.
I don't know. So I was
wasn't taken
thinking
out.
about it. Listen to the commentary
dated.
track.
They're dated.
It's the
for sure.
special effects that the sound effects that melds them into the movie. If you took away the sound, like the
Well, isn't that
special
most
effects,
special effects?
probably, but I mean, this one worked. The special effects, the sound effects are so good. Like every time Agent Smith transforms from like a normal person to him, without like the sound effect is really good when it happens. And if you took it away, I could see it maybe looking kind of dated. Like the mirror stuff kind of looks dated, but the sound super high end and kind of cool. When he's getting
I thought when the windows like went into a wave, I thought that looked good.
that was like the best shot in the entire movie.
Right?
That helicopter
That one looked
thing
cool.
was
Yeah, right.
insane.
Yeah, so that
That whole
wasn't bad.
sequence is got to be one of the best action sequences
Oh,
ever.
the
Like,
fact that the idea that them jumping out to get each other halfway is so good.
and
I
you know exactly
Yeah.
what they're doing. You know,
As
they don't
soon
have
as
to
you see
explain like who's
Yeah.
tied to what or anything like that.
Right.
It just makes sense, and it is freaking incredible. That shot
But,
of Trinity flying towards the camera, the helicopter blowing up behind her, even the one where like
Yeah.
Keanu has the helicopter
Oh, yeah.
flying over his head and he's kind of wrapping his arm around the thing. Like,
Oh yeah, it was
those
awesome.
shots are some of the best stuff
amazing.
ever. So the helicopter was real. It was a quarter
Oh,
scale
wow.
helicopter. So like they had I can get into some trivia on that shot. It is.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
It is
Insane.
insane.
it's
okay.
fantastic.
Yeah, because like there's.
So there you go, though. So it's a mix. It's not just the CG.
It's a huge mix.
And you're
Yeah.
talking just CG.
Right. Yeah, he did he wasn't like the prop guy, the guy who did the miniatures or any of that stuff. He was like the CG visual effects guy.
I see. Okay.
Which this movie is confusing because you watch it and a lot of it seems CG, but in watching the commentary, there's so many special effects going on that I miss that there's a lot of practical shit going on too, which is, a credit to the CG. Because like you see these, whenever you see the world of the human farms and stuff like that, and then it cuts to like Keanu in like the pod or whatever, that stuff melds really well. And it's a combination of sets and completely CG shots.
You're right. The editing is phenomenal. The way it all blends is pretty phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even notice, like, it's almost a good thing, like, for you to call out the audio where I didn't notice it because it just fits so well.
And it's all over the place. There's so many sound effects in this movie.
But I'm not sitting there thinking about the sound effects like Star Wars. Not that Star Wars is bad by any stretch of the imagination, but in Star Wars, the effects really call attention to themselves. In
this movie, what it does too is what Star Wars doesn't do is the soundtrack in Star Wars is kind of flat to an extent. That's not entirely true, but it's like it kind of plays over scenes more like an old school soundtrack does. Like there are some cues that sync up with the video footage. In this movie, the score syncs up with the soundtrack. It syncs up with the edit really extremely well. Where like
it's like blended so well, it just feels part of the movie.
And sometimes it's actually effects. Like there's 4 commentary tracks on this movie. You're welcome, guys. 4 fucking commentary tracks. 3 hours of behind the scenes making of. That's right.
Nice.
But one of the commentary tracks was pretty sweet. I might actually recommend it the most, especially for you guys if you're never going to listen to it. But it removes everything in the audio track.
We'll still go, oh yeah, we might do that someday.
Just someday. That sounds like something I should do.
Yeah, sure.
Definitely.
I'll add it to the list of all the times you've told me and haven't done it once.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But this one takes off everything except for the score.
Wait. You got if you tell me it's better than the Pan's Labyrinth, Benicio del Toro.
No.
Okay.
There are better ones.
That's the bar.
For sound ones, this one is number 2 behind the Ben Burt Star Wars ones. But for sound, what they do is they actually play the soundtrack only audio instead of like they remove everything else in the movie, and you can watch the entire movie with just the score.
Oh,
and you get to listen
appreciate it.
how the score is like how it is because like a lot of it, right? And you can see how it's edited to the scenes and the cuts, and it is the entire way through, and it actually works as sound effects sometimes. Like there are scenes where like the Agent Smith drives a truck into the phone booth and they crash on like the drums when the thing smashes into it. And they do like, there are scenes where glass is breaking and they have like high end, like twinkly harp or guitar or something, to sync up with that sort of thing. So like, I think part of the reason you might not have been paying attention to the sound effects in this one is because the score is also kind of sound effects.
Wow.
And it's like,
it's just, again,
and it melds all together into
what
one.
it is, but it's all blended so fucking well that it just feels like this is the experience. This is the movie.
Mm-hmm. And it starts from the title screen. It starts from the Warner Brothers logo in the beginning.
Yeah,
like the horns, it's almost like a Batman-y type of like noir type of horn thing going on. And just even from the logo, this movie kicks ass. Like,
Oh, so I also like shout out to Simon Whiteley because he's the guy that did the Matrix font, that crawl down, which is also so awesome. And now like
the green computer text,
the green fonts.
That stuff was cool, even for then too. Even more so.
He designed that. It's his wife's sushi recipes.
What,
by the way, in terms of like what the actual content is?
1 part fish, 1 part rice.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just another little part of this film that works so fucking well. Just that font and the text and the vertical drop down.
It did. I mean, there's so many things like design wise in this movie that are just like it would be the best part of another movie, and this movie just crams it in there like at an insane rate where it's kind of hard to believe. Even comparing this to, I might on paper say I like Blade Runner more than this movie because I think. I don't know. It's like it's darker or something like that.
Blade Runner,
but like there's more ideas in this movie, and there's more styles in this movie.
Right.
Like there's more.
Blade Runner had an atmosphere that is hard to match,
like a Dune type thing.
Like a sense of place without saying anything, and that's what Blade Runner was so.
And Blade Runner is mostly about the world and the style.
Yeah.
And this movie has the world, the style, and it has the plot, and it has amazing action, you know, and it has like philosophical ideas that you can like think about afterwards.
There's so many.
I guess Blade Runner has that too, but this one has even more.
One of the best parts of the writing was that simple decision of the pill. I mean, Jesus Christ, talk about giving a high stakes situation with only one outcome possible. And it's
Can we talk about that scene?
That was great.
That scene is, I mean, just everything about it. The costumes, the set, the introduction of Morpheus, the mystery of it all, the way it's shot, the camera shots of like the reflections in Morpheus's glasses where you can see like the pills in either lens sort of thing. Keanu's like hesitation, like the lack of hesitation, like he goes for the blue pill and then Morpheus like gives him a warning and Keanu looks at him like, fuck you, I'm taking the blue pill. Like, what do you think I'm doing here? But he like pauses for a half second, but only because he's talking. And there's no hesitation. Like that small moment gives a lot of character to Keanu. Like he's completely determined. There's no question he's doing it, that sort of thing, which is really important.
And he's making the decision whether it's the right or wrong one. And he's going for it full-heartedly, which is what he is supposed to do because he's the one.
Right. Yeah. There's just, every scene is just so packed with shit.
I know.
It's pretty incredible. Yeah, the only things I can say is like some of the acting isn't great, but it doesn't take the movie down. The one small thing I might say is I don't love the love story in the end.
I like the love story.
You can't fall in love with somebody after knowing them for 2 days. I don't like it how movies do that. It's kind of a typical movie.
It is.
No, you can't.
You can't necessarily. But you can add that like since the Oracle prophesied it sort of opens up a little bit more of an allowance for this, I guess. She's like primed to fall in love with him.
That's true because she saw it and was told by the Oracle that it is the one that she will fall in love with.
It helps a little bit.
It just seems so movie tropey. I don't know.
I mean, that's exactly what it is.
The thing is,
but I still liked it.
Right.
But I wish they had.
But I'm a sap. I don't
know how they would have like gotten their relationship better. But like they didn't even have any good interactions in the movie.
They don't know. They have no relationship. They have not interacted or gotten to know each other or talked about like who they are.
But
what
they're
they
hot,
want,
guys. That's all that matters in movies.
They wear leather well, you know.
They're really good-looking people, and they all
that is true. They are really good looking, and also
that's all that matters.
They're really good at kicking ass too. You need to respect
and also,
that.
Denny, who else do you have to choose from? You know,
Switch.
Carrie Ann Moss is there.
You got Switch in there.
She's gonna get Switch.
Yeah, you got Switch. Oh, watch out! Switch is dead. Watch out!
Switch.
I'm saying there's not a lot of options, so you get a new guy, and that looks pretty good. You know.
Right. Did you see that leg sweep? Come on, none of us are doing that. I'm not doing that.
No one else can run up a wall. Come on, you got to go for Carrie Ann.
Jesus, you ever held a woman by a rope while she's dangling on a skyscraper? You telling me that woman doesn't love you? Right. Get out of here.
Trinity didn't have much to do, but she carries off. The thing is that she matches what Keanu does with the style. She pulls it off so well when she's like kicking ass.
Yeah, the weird, slow talking, calm, badass, stilted like performances thing. I think that's part of, and just watching this one, it works really well in this one. And I think it's because they're not in their own heads about it. But like if you watch the other ones, they do the same kind of acting, but it doesn't work.
Good.
Like it just doesn't work for some reason.
They're not doing it as naturally.
And it works, and that's how the Wachowskis kind of direct their characters to be in all the other movies, and it doesn't work outside of this movie. And I don't know why.
It's like too self-aware at that point.
Yeah,
maybe.
So.
They've already become like a parody of themselves almost because the movie just took off the way it did. So that kind of talking, and it almost becomes a joke.
Right.
Like you can't like revisit it and like do even more of that because
you only got once. So like, you only got one chance at that, and you did it, and you nailed it. So let's not ruin it, which is what happened after that. Yeah. You got to go out on the high note. It's a Seinfeld 101, right? I mean, you got to go out on the high note.
There's billions of dollars to be made, TC.
Oh, shit. And
wait, Longlegs was made. Right? That's right. You know?
That's right.
Yeah. And it made money.
I'd rather watch Longlegs than Matrix Revolutions.
I'm sure, and even the third one probably made lots of money too, right?
Yeah.
Was it starting to go downhill? Right.
So the second one made the most out of all four of them.
But I'm sure 3 still did fine.
It did very fine. Yeah.
Like these people are so far up their ass at that point because they keep making money. So it's not like it did poorly.
And they came out of the gate swinging, and people were like, "These guys are fucking geniuses." And I could see it from this movie.
I know.
Yeah.
I'll give them that. That shit was great.
Right, and but also they didn't have the time, so they were probably just under the fucking gun. Like, all right, you got to pump out 2 more because Jesus.
Yeah,
Christ,
they sat on this movie. It was
here.
5.5 years of script writing and 14 different versions of the script. So they had time to think about it, to perfect it. People that got the script was so good when it was being sold that the studio, Warner Brothers, the people loved it. They loved all of it, but they didn't understand it. They're just like, I know this is cool and it's going to be good, but I don't get it. So they ended up actually having to, they're not great at storyboarding, but they had all the ideas themselves. So they did the storyboards themselves, and then they hired graphic artists to redo the storyboards to become like comic books. And those exist, and they use those to like show the producers. It looks like a comic book, and they got all of the shots from that. Like that's all they did was get the shots, because this is like hugely influenced from combination of anime and kung fu movies. That's like basically the two things that they're going for. So
and comic books, there's apparently a lot of, in terms of the story and stuff. There's a lot of like,
and I think anime itself is like way more influenced directly by comic books, just because the mediums are closer. And but this one it shows, because just the way the shots meld together, like the editing and just the way they thought through all the action and stuff like that is just, I can't think of anything else. Like just thinking about, I've said Mad Max Fury Road, best action movie of all time.
No.
I think that's still true, but this movie it's like a close second, and there's so much more going on in this movie.
Right. But Mad Max is like, it's just a pure action film.
It's not
what's so great
action.
about it. That's actually what's great. It's just like, this is wholeheartedly fucking action. And that makes it good for what it is. But this is different because of all the layers and stuff. And you even add like, sure, you've got all this, you got the reality stuff and the philosophy stuff, and you add like the transgender stuff, given the Wachowskis, like one of the brothers transitioned to be a woman.
Both of them did.
So you questioning, both of them transitioned? Yep. I didn't know. Really? Yep. Awesome. So you add that.
And there's actually some hidden stuff they ended up cutting out. They didn't say why they cut it out, but Switch, the character, it was named Switch because in the Nebuchadnezzar world, the real world, he or she was a man in either it was a man in one and then a woman in the other. So like that's between reality and the Matrix, it switched.
So you add this this layer of like being born and thinking you're a certain way, but feeling like you should be something else. That adds like this whole other layer to it. Aside from the philosophy and this whole idea of identity and feeling like you're not quite what you were supposed to be, and that adds like another. That's what's so cool about this film. That's maybe why it feels like there's a passion and honesty to it.
And I feel like we haven't even mentioned it because it's so on the nose, but the idea that this movie brings into what is reality in such a way that my 13-year-old mind was extremely blown by it. Like it just blew me away to think like, holy shit, this is like true. What is reality? It is just things in your brain. Like as a young person who hadn't taken like any, college classes on this type of shit yet, this was like the first time I'd heard about it, and the way it melded into the whole idea.
Did you know that like world is just like a thing we make up in our brains? Mm-hmm. She's like, no, honey, just sit back down and do your work. Right. Okay,
like, dude, eat your peas.
Exactly. yeah. Life will get you to a point where this doesn't matter anymore. Just eat your food. Just trust me.
But no, you're right.
And we're glossing over it because it is so obvious at this point. We're older, but I mean, not a lot of movies do this. Like we had, what was it, the Seventh Seal, where it talks about like life and death, and like there are a few art house movies where it tries to get into like real heavy things about reality and life and all that stuff. And this movie does it in an action sci-fi fantasy thing, and it's not slowed down by it at all.
It does it cool. It does it like with tons of style, right? Yeah. Exactly.
And the style could have been so lame too. Like it ended up being,
it could have flopped, definitely. Yeah. But they did, I mean, the production design was part of that,
it could have been a joke, right? Because all these guys like in like black leather outfits, like it is a joke now. People who like try to emulate this are kind of jokes, but like it works in this movie. They pulled
even
it
the
off.
sequels almost become jokes, right? Like as you were saying. But yeah, you're right. It's such a fine line. They'd be like, what is reality?
Yeah. And then Keanu being like, I know Kung Fu. It's funny if you make fun of it, but in the movie, you're like, he downloaded Kung Fu to his brain. Yeah. This is fucking sweet.
I mean, just the idea of that is still relevant, though, right? When you think about AI and where we're at,
Well, there's the whole brain Neuralink thing, right? They're gonna put computers in people's heads. They already have. It's like it's happening. It's freaking crazy.
Be sick to be able to do that. download.
I don't know about the whole human battery things a little bit. If you want to sit and take that bit apart, that seems a little strange, but whatever. You just
Why?
move
What's
on
your problem
from
with that one?
one?
That seems like it makes sense to me.
Like what you
got an
actually
80-year-old
like,
battery that runs on friggin' wheat germ and friggin' water. That sounds like a pretty good battery.
I don't know, man. You might just go for actual regular old battery. You might do better.
Battery life for 15 years at the best.
It was like, oh yeah,
yeah.
I don't know.
He's the electric guy, remember?
Research that. Like
human batteries. Sounds like a freaking great plan.
You are the engineer. Okay, wait.
I'm
Denny,
an electrical engineer, John.
You are. I'll defer. The whole human battery thing makes sense to you.
It
right?
does.
Okay.
Yes.
Then I will put that off the table. Good job.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it makes total sense.
That was solved.
I think. I mean, humans are not efficient creatures, but I have to imagine the pod they put them in makes them more efficient. That was my assumption.
So, yeah.
The goo, keeps
you
the
go
heat
in the
in or
goo
whatever.
and you're all set.
Yeah,
You
put the
actually
tubes
say
in,
what?
you go in the goo, you're good for about 85,
you
90
put the
years.
tubes in. Come on.
That's right. Come on.
Don't press the plunger though, or you get flushed down the hole in the back of the
don't
pod.
take the thing out of your neck. You understand me? Don't take. That's the most thing you got to remember. Don't take
If
the
you get
thing
a
out
little
of your
itchy,
neck.
take the thing out of your arm, sure, that's fine. But the thing out of your neck,
but
keep
the
it in
thing
there.
out of your neck, that's got to stay put. Capiche? The mob owns all of it. That's funny.
Yeah. And I think the way they obviously this has like the Star Wars thing too, where they didn't really touch on it. Like everyone just, most of the commentary tracks, they did the second and third ones too. They're very happy these movies were made. So everyone was talking pretty positively on all three.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this movie is kind of like Star Wars, whereas the first Star Wars was George Lucas, written, produced. It was all his ideas. He did it. He had a lot of people around him to help. He had a lot of people telling him to kick out bad ideas. And then after the first one, he handed it over because being a producer and a director and a writer was just way too much all at once. So he's like, I'm going to the production chair. I'll check everything and make sure the lore is okay. But he never had full control over the lore until the prequels, where he went deeply into the political stuff and the midichlorians or whatever the fuck, like the little pieces that make up the Force, like all of this detailed shit that only super nerds on Reddit apparently care about.
Are going to want to know. Right.
Yeah. So, but I think that's probably where they were at with this first one. And they had a limited budget. They weren't made yet. People didn't know if it was going to work. They probably had more people saying, don't do that. Mm-hmm. Even though the storyboards and things I think it's more like they just had more time to let it bake sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know I was going to say.
But the fact that they just ran with the
Star
other
Wars,
ones.
Star Wars, they did take more time though.
But they definitely were surrounded with yes men for the second and third ones. And some of the ideas that might have gotten kicked out, given that they had a shorter period of time to put it together, is a reason why some of that shit doesn't make sense, isn't as interesting.
No, and I don't even like it. The first one is so good. I don't want to revisit any.
I don't either.
I mean, I went and saw them. I even saw the fourth one. But
did you watch the whole thing?
Yeah.
TC, do you remember watching the whole thing?
I went and saw it in
the latest one.
Yeah. We watched it for the podcast.
Yeah. I remember. It wasn't great.
Wait a minute. You walked out?
I shut it off.
Wait a minute. But did you admit that when we did the review?
Totally admitted it, yeah.
I think he might have, yeah.
But
I didn't.
Because that was one of the ones we had 4 movies because it was after a long break because of COVID or something like that. And we came back.
I can't even remember that.
With 4 brief reviews or something.
You're right. We did the
Rings movie.
The Rings movie. The Bracelets.
And then Marvel.
And then we had The Matrix. And then we had... So it was okay that you shut one of them off.
Maniri or whatever that movie was.
I don't remember any of this.
No,
that much. Not really.
Minari.
Yeah,
Minari,
we did a three. No, it wasn't Minari. Minari, we did a full episode on that one. I think. Yeah. No. Oh shit. We don't even know our own stuff anymore.
There's fucking 400 episodes.
We never did.
Me? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't fucking remember.
Am I supposed to know what we did? Come on.
I don't even want to look back past 6 months ago.
Yeah, John recommended
we had
and
scarier.
TC was at the Olympics last week, so we had to post a repost. And John smartly, the new Deadpool Wolverine movie came out. I was like, just post the Deadpool one. And I looked it up. It was from 2018. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? 6 fucking years ago.
Wow. Isn't that
so
crazy?
I listen to it like I have to these days just to be like, did we say anything that we shouldn't say?
We need AI to scan the transcripts.
Anything that's no longer appropriate.
Right.
Yeah.
But we're good. And especially for Deadpool, you'd think, hard R, curse movie, offensive humor. No, we're fine.
That's good.
Coda. We threw Coda in there.
Coda. That movie deserved a full episode.
I do remember Coda.
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten
I know how
Rings,
I like to tell you guys how my parents react to movies. I showed my parents that movie, bawling on the couch next to me. Huge win on that one.
Yeah.
The scene
Photo
where she
was a
sings
good
a song
one.
at the end, signing it to her parents up in the
it's
audience.
so beautiful.
Yeah.
It is
So
very
good.
sweet film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most sappiest Best Picture winner ever. Totally deserving.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
What are we talking about here? Talking about The Matrix?
I don't remember.
Matrix. Yeah.
I don't know. What else? There's too many things to talk about. We've touched on the score, the style, the story, the characters,
Bullet time stuff. Again,
line
there's just so many
delivery,
like amazing
bullet
action
time stuff.
sequences.
Yeah.
But also just the way they handle like again the.
Can I ask you a question?
they're-
Actually, should I save this for trivia? Maybe I will, because trivia. This is going to be a two-parter, so the trivia section is going to be pretty long. So I don't know. Just think about
Okay.
this. Here's a question. I'll ask it again.
Okay.
How do they do bullet time back then? Do you think? I don't know if you thought about it when you watched it this
I
time.
think I've seen pictures.
Okay,
of how
don't
they
say
do it. I
anything.
thought like I won't.
TC, think
but I've
about
seen
it.
Pictures.
See if you can
Okay.
guess on how they would possibly do it.
Okay. You mean like shoot it?
How they got that effect? How they would shoot
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry, John. Sorry for interrupting.
No, it's fine. No, but they're just again so many the great action sequences where they just they do like
Kung Fu.
you get to not just kung fu but you appreciate the destruction and the violence not like the violence but just of like bullets
What else,
flying
Teddy? What do you
everywhere
got?
and things blowing up like when
Karate.
they're in the lobby of that building.
That you?
Oh
And
yeah.
all-
no, the
all
slow
the pillars
motion
are
where all
being
the rubble's
destroyed and the
flying
slow-mo-
towards the camera. It looks so good.
It's so fucking amazing
Yeah.
every time I see that. There's a lot of sequences like you said with the helicopter and so forth.
And again,
There's
all that
so
stuff
many
is
sequences like this.
light foam, but the sound effects make
Is
it
what makes it,
seem
right?
real,
Wow.
right?
Yeah. The sound effects in the beginning, but it's just everything.
And
That's,
do you guys have
perfect.
surround sounds at your house?
Yes,
no.
I do.
No.
Did you
Yes.
that scene with
Oh.
surround sound is incredible. Like
Is
the
it?
the amount of bullets.
remember.
I mean, did you?
Yeah.
You didn't.
I mean, I have it
noticed
on,
it
but
specifically for that
I'm
one.
so used to it now because I have it on for everything that I don't know if I pay attention. As
I
much.
think like the best, if you gave me two right now, if you asked me for like the two best examples of surround sound I can think of, one of them is in the first Dune, like the newer Dune movies, Dune Part 1, where they're flying in that thing and like one of the four wings falls off and they fly through a sandstorm and like you can hear the rocks and shit hitting the case and there's no soundtrack. That you can like hear very sharp, high end pieces of things, individual things
Going past
hitting
you.
all
Yeah.
around you. And it
Right.
sounds like each one has like its own position in space and you
Right.
can hear it and it makes it like creates this feeling that
Whole
you're
dome
inside this
almost.
like
Yep.
this in the ship with them.
Yep.
And that scene in The Matrix does the same thing where you feel like you're standing in this lobby and you can hear the shit flying like millions of little pieces
right.
specifically flying by your head. And like
It's awesome.
there's a lot of them and it's clear though. Like you could go and listen to individual chunks of stuff flying by your head.
It's awesome.
And that amount of work must have been really, really hard to do. It must have taken
But-
a ton of time.
Right. But
It
it's the
depends,
way it all
you know?
adds-
I don't know.
But
You'd be
I mean,
surprised.
you don't just like they didn't just throw in like noisy rock sound. Here you go. Like
Right.
they actually
Right.
have like you
Right,
can
that's
look at a
right,
piece and you can hear it fly by your head.
No, they're
like
moving stuff
individual
around
things.
live,
Yeah.
to get it to match. For sure.
Yeah, and it's
But-
not
but
and the
it's-
fact that it's
yeah.
not actually the sound they're picking up because it's all foam and it's not making that noise means that somebody went
Right.
in there, created the sound,
Oh,
put
yeah.
it into the 3D space, and
And
then
then
made
automated
it go
it to
at a
make it-
speed.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
like it's crazy.
But you take that and that's like a piece, and then you add that they've got
You add the
these
score.
awesome outfits and the score and
and the
how-
slow mo and the stunts,
right, and how Carrie Ann Moss and Keanu are able to
and the
how
straight
they
faces.
look.
I love it how
Right,
they
how
just
they
have
look
straight
doing it.
faces. Yeah.
Right, like how they look cool doing this.
Yeah.
Right, it's just it really they look at each other. Somebody's like out of ammo, and they're just like
They throw their guns
you know,
away. I love it how they don't reload.
yeah,
they just
yeah.
throw the guns away.
Yeah, right.
It's so good.
It's just they do it expressionless, right?
Mhm.
They're not like it's just and it's amazing how it all
And
comes
just how it
together.
starts too. It's like he goes through the metal detector. The bag
Right,
is full
right,
of
right.
guns, and the guy's like, "Do you have any metal on you?" And he just opens his shirt up, and it's just chock full of guns. You're like, "Yeah, blow them away."
Yeah, and again, something else that happens really well that again it plays into, it gets to play into the whole like worldview where you get to enjoy the action because it's like okay they're in the Matrix, so yeah, they're killing all these people, but they're kind of not really there, or they're not like, it doesn't matter because they're just fighting again. If you want to think about it well enough, it's like, well, they're still probably dying.
Well, they're people. That's the thing I didn't get,
right?
because like they are computer programs, quote unquote, but there's bodies associated with them in the farm somewhere.
So
right?
then are they actually dying in the farm?
They are,
but you don't
for sure.
Yeah, right.
Because they explain that pretty clearly.
Right,
like,
I know.
yeah.
But if you don't want to make that additional connection, you can kind of sit there and enjoy the violence and not feel bad about all the people getting killed, right? And
well,
the way the
don't they
film
try
carries
to
you
explain
along.
away like they're slaves and they like their thought is
there's
to
a
die?
line. No, there's a line there that's like, there's Fishburne has a line about it that like, you don't, all these other people are your enemies
because they work for the machines, right? And I kind of buy into that.
Right.
Yeah,
so you get so it adds up. You're just carried along with it, and you get to enjoy the action, and not and so you don't even think of the people as people because and that lets you just sort of like, again, it's this combination of all these things that add up.
Yeah.
Like what
So many
sound,
insane ideas that
design,
shouldn't
right?
work,
Yes.
and they work.
Right.
It's pretty bananas. It's like you listen to somebody come up with the most creative like series of ideas you could ever think of and try to make them structured enough to make sense in a movie without being like overly explanatory. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't happen like this. I think the only other movie that tries to do what this movie does is Inception, and that movie is somehow
Jesus
rated
Christ.
higher than this movie, which doesn't mean
Is it
it's
really,
coming up soon. Yeah, but that movie doesn't work nearly as well. It's got pretty good action scenes, not as good as this.
Score.
It's got a great score, not as good as this one. I would still say.
Top notch talent of the time is putting their work into the Christopher Nolan movies at that point. So everybody's working real hard and it's
got some heady
pedigrees.
ideas about like the dream world and stuff, but most of it's like made up kind of, and the rules they're not solid. They seem to break multiple times.
I
in the
think it's
movie.
going to be a really interesting contrast when we get to that one between The Matrix and this one, right? Yeah. Yeah, not looking forward to it. But
No,
whatever.
me either. That
We'll
movie's a freaking slog.
I do love the soundtrack, so I'll be happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Bwomp. Guys, we're in your dreams. Bwomp. Bwomp. Guys, I'm going to push Leo into the bathtub. Bwomp.
Yep, that's exactly it. Hans Zimmer doing his bombs.
I mean, Leo was pretty pissed in The Revenant, but when he pushed him into that bathtub, that was peak pissed off Leo right there.
Yeah.
That's for sure. There are things in this movie like just, small things. Like when the guy that answers the phone call, every time he picks up, he says operator. Even when like his people just died, he still picks up. He's like crying. He says operator. I think that's a really cool touch because the whole idea is like there's a phone number you can call in the Matrix to connect with the people that'll get you out. But if you have somebody in the Matrix accidentally dial the number, you just have a guy picking up the phone going operator. And if it's not somebody that you know,
So,
then like they're gonna be like, oh yeah, you dialed the wrong number, buddy. Go ahead and hang up.
Right.
I'm not gonna extract your body from the Matrix.
So I got a couple things. I got to take the dog out, I think.
Part one over. John's got to let his dog pee. That sounds like a good
right.
idea.
That's fine.
He's giving me the look. He's like, I don't want to do this here, but again.
But he's like, I'll do it.
We raved enough about it, so.
I don't think so. We're going to rave some more in part two.
No, for part one, I mean.
Oh, for part one. Yeah. It's enough raving for an episode. Yeah.
Let's take a pause in the recording and come back.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, guys.